5 sinister true stories of the most spine-chilling bodies ever discovered by morticians. In the silence of Cedar Grove, whispers circulated like shadows, a chill stalking every corner. Each disappearance gnawed at the very fabric of the suburb, families growing quieter, eyes darting nervously from behind their curtains. The stories began surfacing, fueled by old legends, gruesome tales of 5 bodies unearthed by the very hands meant to lay them to rest. Morticians, in their quiet power, held the darkest secrets that lay beneath the surface. But the question was what horrors walked among them, disguised in the everyday. Ashley, a single mother with eyes haunted by exhaustion, felt the growing dread in her bones. Her son, Timmy, had always been her light, but lately, the glow of innocence flickered dimly. The cul-de-sac that once felt like a sanctuary now twisted under the burden of fear, and each evening jog felt like a perilous expedition. With every familiar face turning into a potential threat, her heart raced. What if the reclusive mortician, shrouded in rumors, stood at the edge of her dreams, his ghastly secrets waiting to engulf them all? The stories were maddening. One involved a body believed to have risen from the grave, its spectral anger tethered to unresolved grievances. Another spoke of an ancient curse that sparked unexplained deaths, each more tragic than the last. As Ashley tucked Timmy in each night, she could almost hear their collective voices pressing in, a sinister lullaby. In the days that followed, she found herself reflecting on Mr. Harris, the friendly neighbor with sinister tales. Those casual anecdotes took a dark turn, leaving a sour taste in her mouth. Ashley could still hear her friend's urgent voice on the phone urging her to protect Timmy, her words heavy with worry. "Keep him close, Ash. There's something out there." But when she reported her fears to the police, they exchanged dismissive glances, branding her as paranoid. Left alone and armed only with her worries, Ashley felt the walls of their home close in, the air laced with dread. And then it happened. One sun-drenched afternoon, the world cracked open when Timmy vanished. Panic rocketed through her as she sprinted frantically through their once-safe neighborhood, crying out his name. Hours later, he returned, eyes wide with terror, breathless as he recounted his tale of a tall, shadowy figure lurking from beyond the trees. Ashley's heart plunged. What kind of monster was lurking unbeknownst to them, playing with her son as if he were the last toy left in a forsaken attic? Driven by desperation, she ventured into the woods, regret trailing behind her like a dark cloak. The trees crowded her, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching for her sanity. Every rustle sent chills down her spine. She felt the weight of forgotten secrets pressing against her, urging her to heed tales of the mortician, the lives lost, the souls trapped. Fallen leaves crunched beneath her trembling feet, and just when she thought her heart could beat no faster, a low growl echoed through the twilight. Panic surged as the air grew cold, thick with an unseen presence. And then, from the gathering shadows, emerged Mr. Harris, a twisted grin stretching unnaturally across his face. "I've been waiting for you, Ashley," he hissed, his eyes glinting with an ancient hunger that sent her stumbling back. The world around her spiraled into horror, leaving her with a terrifying realization safety was an illusion, and the true danger lurked within her own neighborhood. As the dark woods closed in, Ashley's instincts screamed for her to flee, to protect her son from whatever nightmare awaited them. Would she escape with Timmy in time, or would Cedar Grove reveal its darkest horrors before they could break free? The night watched and waited, a breath away from revealing its chilling secrets. The night wrapped around Ashley like a suffocating shroud as she stumbled backward, terror coursing through her veins. Mr. Harris stood there, an imposing figure cloaked in shadows, every movement deliberate and slow, like a predator toying with its prey. The smile that twisted his features sent ice through Ashley's core. "What do you want?" she managed to gasp, every instinct urging her to flee, to run far away from this nightmare. "Why, Ashley, I'm merely here to help," he crooned, his voice dripping with malice. "After all, you seem so lost, so desperate." She recoiled, mind racing. The stories about him, the hushed conversations every neighbor whispered behind closed doors, were they true? Was he the embodiment of all that terror? "My son," She cried out, her heart hammering in her chest. "What have you done to Timmy?" "Oh, but he is safe," Harris replied, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting Timmy to emerge from the dark woods at any moment. For now, he simply needed to learn some lessons. About the world. About monsters. The word echoed, sinking like a stone in her gut. It wasn't just the shadows lurking in the woods anymore. The real horror loomed in the man before her. Frantic, Ashley turned, scanning the dense trees, desperately searching for any sign of her son. "Stay away from him. You hear me? I swear." "If you heard him," typical motherly response. Harris chuckled, a grotesque sound that resonated across the eerily quiet woods. "But you see, it's not just about you anymore. Cedar Grove holds many secrets, and the deeper you dig, the more you'll uncover." The trees loomed closer, their dark silhouettes like haunting shapes flitting in her periphery. For every rustle, every snap of a twig, she felt the weight of eyes watching, waiting. Panic clawed at her throat as she faced Harris again. "What is this place? What do you want?" "Only to show you the truth," he hissed, eyes glinting in the faint light. "I am merely the keeper of the ghosts that wander in dreams. Every disappearance, every life taken, it's all part of the cycle. You will understand soon enough." With that, he took a step closer, his shadow stretching impossibly longer, swallowing her in darkness. The scent of decay hit her, thick and choking, and she had to fight not to gag. Ashley's heart raced, each beat echoing in the forest like a war drum. She turned to run but stumbled, momentum sending her crashing into the damp earth. "Timmy!" she screamed, hoping against hope he would hear her and not as a mere specter in Harris's twisted game. As she climbed back to her feet, adrenaline fueling her, a cold hand gripped her shoulder from behind. She whipped around, fists clenched, ready to fight. But it was just a deer, its eyes wide and reflecting the pale moonlight. A low growl vibrated from the brush. Instinct kicked in. She had to move. As fear blurred her vision, she raced deeper into the woods, branches clawing at her arms, pricking her skin, leaving trails of crimson. The night was alive with sound, distant howls mingling with rustlings that sounded too close for comfort. "Run, Ashley. You don't know who you're dealing with," Harris shouted, his voice mixing with the rise and fall of shadows. Then she heard it, Timmy's voice, faint yet chilling, calling her name from somewhere deep within the tangled trees. "Mom! Help!" With every fiber of her being, Ashley sprinted toward that sound. The thrill of hope mixed with dread, a chasing sensation that pulled her closer yet further, like a cruel tease. Could she reach him in time? Or was she already entangled in a web darker than she ever imagined? The deeper she ran, the more she felt the world twist around her, alive with the weight of secrets too heavy to bear. As the darkness embraced her, inching ever closer, a singular thought echoed in her mind. What awaited them at the end of this horrific game? With the woods closing in, Ashley took one last breath, pushing herself forward into the unknown, prepared for whatever horror lay ahead. But then a guttural laugh resonated through the night air, sending shivers down her spine, taunt that chilled her blood. You'll find out soon enough. The struggle to save her son became a race against a darkness that felt like it could swallow her whole. Would she confront the truth, or would it swallow them both alive? Branches whipped at Ashley's face as she barreled through the dark woods, the familiar silhouette of Cedar Grove morphing into a twisted maze of nightmares. Night creatures echoed her silent dread, their whispers filling her with a sense of being hunted. She knew they weren't just sounds of the wild. They were the voices of secrets, the murmurs of lost souls looking for solace. "Timmy!" she shouted again, desperation lacing her voice. Each step felt heavier, the ground beneath her slippery with mud and fallen leaves. She had to find him before Harris did. The thought burned in her mind, fueling her flight. Then she heard it again, the low vibrations of laughter echoing, mocking. Harris's laughter, no longer the distant threat she had sensed before. It was now a tangible presence wrapping around her, tightening like a noose. The weight in her chest grew unbearable. The shadows danced around her, flickering like flames, taunting her with glimpses of something grotesque waiting just out of view. "Help!" The cry rang out clearer now. It surged through Ashley, igniting her will. She pushed through the fear, ignoring the voices that whispered doubts. Each sound made her heart race. Every rustle in the underbrush felt like a predatory gaze. She faltered for a split second, scanning the darkness. She had to keep going. No hesitation. No looking back. Suddenly, the path opened into a small clearing. Moonlight spilled onto the forest floor, illuminating the scene before her. A chill crept down her spine as dread settled in like a heavy fog. There, in the center of the clearing, stood a gnarled tree with roots that twisted like skeletal fingers. At its base lay a small backpack, familiar and worn. "Timmy!" She dashed forward, heart pounding. But as she reached the bag, she paused. The air crackled with an unnatural energy. Her hand hovered above it, her breath hitching in her throat. This wasn't right. The laughter echoed again, closer this time. "You're so easily led, Ashley." Harris's mocking voice slithered through the air, dripping with contempt. "What have you done to him?" she shouted, feeling the sharp bite of fear in her throat. "Lessons," he replied with a cruel smirk that made her skin crawl. "A reminder of what exists in the shadows. A gift, really, for a mother who hasn't seen so clearly." A sudden movement from beyond the tree caught her eye. She turned, heart racing, breath quickening. She felt as if the dark itself were reaching for her. And then she saw him, a small figure crouched behind the tree, a shadow against the night. "Mom!" Timmy's voice rang out, filled with fear and a touch of confusion. "Help, Timmy!" Ashley cried, relief flooding her but laced with dread. She moved to take a step forward, but Harris blocked her path, his figure towering, a wall of terror. "Not so fast," he growled, eyes narrowing. "You're not prepared to face what's coming. The world you know is a veil, Ashley. You must choose. Continue to fight, or embrace the truth that shadows your every move." Ashley's heart thundered in her ears. The choice hung heavy, like a blade poised above her. What awaited her son? She wouldn't leave him, no matter the cost. "Timmy!" She screamed again, and in that moment, everything shifted. The shadows swirled, and the whispers rose to a crescendo, drowning out the night sounds. Something rustled behind her. Ashley turned, her stomach dropping as she witnessed dark figures emerge from the tree's shapes of horror swarming toward her, twisting and writhing, all bearing the weight of secrets too heinous for the light. Harris's laughter rose with the commotion, a sick symphony beneath the moonlit sky, taunting her as everything spiraled into chaos. "Now let us see how deep the rabbit hole goes," he jeered, his voice mingling with the growls of the approaching darkness. Ashley's world blurred as the overwhelming mass of terror advanced, and she knew the moment of truth had arrived. Would she stand against this tide of nightmares, risk it all to save her boy? As the figures converged, the suffocating answer loomed, like shadows creeping. "Closer, Timmy!" she screamed, readying herself for one last push into the dread. Would they emerge together from this darkness, or would it consume them both? Ashley's heart pounded like a drum in the oppressive darkness as the figures closed in. She pushed back the wave of panic threatening to swallow her whole. "Stay close, Timmy!" she shouted, forcing her feet to move, every step a defiance against the horror looming all around. But the laughter, the sickening symphony of Harris's mirth pierced her with each breath. He was playing with her, turning her agony into a game. The shadows filled the clearing, twisting and changing shape, pulling at her resolve. They weren't just figures. They were memories, doubts given form, each one a part of something deeper, something malevolent. "Look around you," Harris shouted, stepping closer, his eyes gleaming with madness. "What do you see?" Truth and terror, intertwined in a web of fate. "It is your choice, Ashley. Face your fears, or watch as they consume your son." Ashley's mind raced, feeling the weight of his words clinging to her. She staggered backward, caught between the reality of Timmy cowering behind the tree and the nightmare advancing toward them. The ground felt like it was pulsing beneath her feet. The whispers had crescendoed into a roar. Timmy. She choked on her voice, panic flooding her senses. I'm coming for you. Before she could take another step, a shadow lunged out from the mass, a grotesque face morphing into something familiar, twisted beyond recognition. It was a face she had loved, once bright and innocent, now a mask of despair, a fleeting figure she had lost. Mom, it whispered, eyes hollow, mouth stretched into a haunting grin. Ashley staggered, bile rising to her throat. It was all a trick, a cruel reminder of what she had failed. No, you're not real, she shouted, her voice breaking. The laugh echoed again, a chorus of voices mingling. You cannot run from your past, Ashley. Clings to you. But the sight of Timmy, so close yet so far behind the chilling veil, ignited a fire she thought extinguished. No more hesitating. She had to fight through this horror, had to reach her son. Get away from him, she screamed, thrusting her hands out as if to physically push the night back. The shadows recoiled for a moment, enough for her to spring forward, racing toward Timmy. She could feel their icy breath as they tried to grasp her, but she wouldn't let them. Her heart fueled her, the very core of a mother's love pushing through the suffocating dark. Timmy, grab my hand, now. He reached out, fingers stretching through the abyss that separated them. A moment hung in the air, suspended in time, like a prayer sent forth into a cosmos of despair. Just as they touched, Harris howled with fury, flinging shadows like missiles. You think you can escape? The truth is ours, and it will come for you. Dark tendrils lashed at her, snaking around her waist, dragging her back toward that haunted laughter. She grunted, pulling against the suffocating grip, holding Timmy close, feeling his warmth against the chill surrounding them. Hold on, she pleaded, summoning every ounce of strength. The shadows screamed, writhing in chaos, as if they knew she was breaking free. The moment stretched. She could feel the darkness threatening to crush them, but instinct took over. With a gut-wrenching shove, fueled by sheer desperation, Ashley pulled Timmy toward her. A surge of light erupted around them, tearing through the blackness, illuminating the gnarled tree and its twisted roots, no longer just a nightmare but a bridge as they broke free. A horrified scream pierced the air, the realization that the darkness could no longer hold them. But even as they raced away from the shadows, she could hear Harris's voice, echoing behind them, slithering through the trees. This isn't over. You can't outrun what you cannot see. The shadows will find you. With each stride into the unknown, dread lurked just behind her, a shrouded promise that she had not seen the last of it. What lay ahead? Was there truly safety beyond the grasp of that desolate hell? A weight lingered in the air, thicker than any fog, whispering that their escape was just the beginning. And the dark truth still shimmered. Waiting to be unveiled, was the light truly freedom, or just a different shade of terror? Ashley felt the pulse of adrenaline fading as they plunged deeper into the woods, each step an echo of their frantic escape. The trees loomed like silent sentinels, branches clawing at the fabric of night, whispering secrets that filled the air with icy dread. Timmy ran beside her, clutching her hand tightly, but fear was etched on his innocent face, a mirror of her own terror. We're safe now, right? Timmy asked, his voice trembling, barely loud enough to break the heavy silence. Yeah, we're safe, buddy, she lied, forcing a smile that didn't reach her heart. Reality had a way of cracking that illusion. Harris's words were a ghost that followed them, haunting the fringes of her mind. He had said the truth would come for them. How much truth could one heart bear? They stumbled into a small clearing, moonlight spilling like silver into the darkness. Overhead, the stars seemed to blink in recognition, each flicker a reminder of the world they had just escaped. But there was something about the air that felt thick, as if the trees were holding their breath, waiting for something to unfold. Look, Timmy pointed towards the ground, his eyes wide that Ashley's gaze followed. There, partially hidden under a crumbling leaf blanket, was something glinting. She knelt beside it, her heart tumbling further into her stomach. It was a locket. Gears churned in her mind. It was hers. No, she gulped, shaking her head as if to dispel the nightmare creeping back in. The locket contained pictures of her family, timeless snapshots of joy, now twisted into sinister echoes. "Mom, is that yours?" Timmy asked, his voice a mix of awe and apprehension. "Yes, but it shouldn't be here." Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. It felt cold, too cold, as she remembered the last time she had seen it. The day of the accident. Before she could fully process it, an unnatural wind swept through the clearing. It raged like a banshee, an invisible force that scattered leaves and raised goosebumps on her arms. Something was coming. Ashley shoved the locket into her pocket, her breath steadying as she shielded Timmy. Pulling him close, the wind became a cacophony of whispers again. They were distant at first, but quickly grew louder, more urgent. Voices emerged from the darkness, growing sharper, more distinct. Each word felt like a shard of ice stabbing into her brain. "Face the past. Ashley, you cannot escape, you will remember." "It's not real," Ashley screamed out, but deep down, she feared that it was all too real. Memories of laughter, of everyday family moments, morphed into twisted images of loss. She felt them weight her down. Suddenly, a shadow loomed at the edge of the clearing, impossibly large, painted by the moonlight. Ashley squinted into the dark, heart racing. Was it simply a trick of her imagination? No. It shifted. A figure with familiar features, eyes blazing with betrayal. "Look who's returned," the figure hissed, voice dripping with an unsettling familiarity. "No," she whispered, recognizing the face that haunted her dreams. "No, no, no." Timmy tugged on her sleeve, eyes wide with confusion and fear. "Mom, who is that?" "A shadow," she breathed, just the breath of despair left in her. "Just a shadow." But even as she said it, the figure stepped closer. An aura of menace tugged at the edges of the clearing. The trees rustled, and the whispers crescendoed. This was not just a memory. It was flesh, bone, and pure, suffocating dread. "Face your past." It echoed, arms outstretching as if to embrace her. Ashley felt the darkness tightening around her, a vice squeezing her chest. She turned, pulling Timmy behind her, searching for an escape. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Then, just as the phantom loomed closer, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The very earth seemed to shake with anticipation. Could this truly be the end? "Hold on to me, Timmy," she cried, clutching him hard as she focused on the glimmer in the distance. It was shifting, beckoning her forward, a flicker of hope or another shadow of horror. The truth was out there, lurking just beyond the light, waiting to ensnare them in its dark embrace. Was she ready to confront it? With pulse racing and shadows looming, they dashed toward the beckoning glow, desperate for salvation or oblivion. The glow, pulsing like a heartbeat, drew them in, illuminating the chaos around them. Each step felt heavy, as the ground quaked beneath their feet. The air thickened with the stench of decay, of forgotten things. Memories fled from Ashley's mind, but despair clung like a foul fog. Timmy stumbled slightly, and Ashley quickly steadied him. "Let us keep moving," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper, betraying the knots of fear in her gut. They pushed through branches, their nails scraping against rough bark. She could feel the figure still lingering just beyond the cover of shadows, watching, waiting, taunting. As they neared the flickering glow, the whispers escalated into a cacophony, thousands of voices echoing their torment. "Come back," they wailed. "It's not over." Ashley clutched Timmy tighter, her heart pounding in time with the frantic beat of their feet, slapping against the forest floor. Ahead, the light grew more intense, sharp as broken glass. Just a little further, she thought, desperate hope igniting inside her. It flickered like a will-o'-the-wisp, dancing playfully yet sinister. Before them now was an ancient, gnarled tree with roots that curled and twisted toward the earth like skeletal fingers. The light emitted from what seemed to be a hollow in its trunk. "Mom, I'm scared," Timmy whimpered, his grip slipping slightly against her sweaty palm. "Me too, buddy. Just stay close." She tried to sound calm, but her voice trembled with uncertainty. Suddenly, the shadow stepped closer again. Ashley could almost decipher a face within it, anguished, accusing. "You can't run forever," it growled. A low rumble that vibrated through the ground. Fear coursed through her. The locket in her pocket felt like a stone, and every moment felt like it pulled her toward the void, dragging her down. They reached the tree, and as they approached, the light intensified, revealing images swirling within the hollow. Ashley gasped. It was a reflection of her past, a vibrant scene of a picnic in the park. Her husband laughing, Timmy running, the sun sparkling as it cut through the trees. She felt the rush of warmth but recoiled in horror as it shifted, revealing ghosts of torment. Shattered moments, vicious shadows scuttling across the vibrant picture, devouring joy, leaving fractures carved into laughter. "What is that?" Timmy gasped, eyes wide with fear. "It's our past," Ashley stammered, realizing in horror she had to face it to move forward. "Mom," he said, pulling back slightly. "I don't want to see. I want to go home." "Timmy, I need you to trust me," Ashley urged, drawing a deep breath. "We can't go until we understand." The voices twisted, drowning out her resolve. "Face it. Relive it," they screeched. Each syllable crashed into her like waves, threatening to pull her under. Then came the realization: the locket, the sharpness of the memories shimmering in the glow. They were fragments of truth, wrapped in pain. "I have to go in," she said, determination rising. "Mom, please," Timmy cried, but she tuned him out, stepping forward. The figure lunged. "You don't want to know," it bellowed, and time slowed as Ashley felt her heart race in her chest. A drum heralding the end. But she had a choice. Would she stand and confront the darkness, or let it swallow her whole? A shudder ran through her, and with a last desperate look at Timmy, she dove into the light, ready to confront the chaos within as a silence fell around them. In that blinding moment, the world around them imploded into darkness. Would her truth set them free, or bind them forever to the weight of memories too painful to bear? The light consumed her, a blinding, all-encompassing white that swallowed every sound, every thought. For a moment, there was nothing: no Timmy, no forest, no whispers clawing at her sanity. Then, she fell into a memory that came at her like a tidal wave. Ashley stood on a sun-drenched blanket, vibrant colors exploding around her. She felt a warmth, laughter echoing, and a sweet scent of flowers intermingling with the crispness of the air. Timmy and his father bounded across the grass, giggles mingling with the rustle of leaves. "Look at me, Mommy," Timmy shouted, flying high on the swings, innocence painted across his face. But then, as quickly as joy surged, shadows crept in, darkened corners morphing into dread. The laughter distorted, becoming a sickening cackle, and the picturesque scene warped. She reached out to her husband, but his face twisted, the love fading into something rotting and grotesque. "Face it," a voice hissed, dripping malice like poison. "You can't escape what you've done." The picnic shattered into splinters, disappearing into a swirling void. Ashley stumbled. She was back at the tree, the hollow burgeoning with the rotting essence of her worst fears. "Mom!" Timmy's voice cut through the murky air, sharp with panic. She spun, but the shadows had coiled around him, snatching him away. "No, Timmy!" she screamed. But he was gone, swallowed by the darkness. The figure loomed closer, its face finally materializing, a broken reflection of herself. Eyes hollow, a grin that stretched too wide, teeth jagged like broken glass. "You led him into this darkness," it crooned, voice echoing with laughter that had no joy. "Did you think you could hide from your own sins?" Ashley felt the world tilt. Each heartbeat hammered in her ears, drowning the whispers of dread. The weight of doubt bore down, crushing her resolve. A flash of the locket, cold against her chest, reminded her of the truth buried within the chaos. "Timmy," she called again, desperation stripping her voice bare. "I'm here. I won't leave you." The voice from the figure sneered. "But you already have. Left him to deal with this nightmare. He has nothing without you." A flicker of light erupted in the hollow, illuminating grotesque faces in the shadows. Each visage echoed her failures, regrets clawing at her, twisting her stomach into knots. No, she gasped, stumbling backward until she hit the rough bark of the tree. I can't believe this. They're not real. But each voice was soul-piercingly true, wrapping around her heart. Faces of lost moments, each one reflecting the pain Ashley feared. The laughter, the one happy memory, was gone, replaced by screams ending in silence. A cold sweat coated her skin, a chill creeping up her spine. Please, she cried, clutching the locket tighter, as if it would protect her. The figure moved closer, the air thickening with despair. Give in, face the truth. You owe him that much. Ashley's breath came quick, shallow. There had to be something, some way to save Timmy, to save herself from this endless torment. If I face this, can I bring him back? She whispered, a fragile hope fraying at the edges. Face it. The shadows boomed, and in the explosion of sound, the hollow pulsed vibrantly again, revealing scenes that tethered her to the abyss. Terrified, she peered into the light once more. Time was running out. Would confronting the darkness yield her son back, or send her spiraling deeper into oblivion? She took a trembling step forward, the air crackling with tension, preparing to uncover her most harrowing truth. Timmy, I'm coming. But before she could enter the hollow, the world shuddered, and a voice, clearer now, cut through the chaos. Mommy, don't leave me. The fear gripped her heart, and she realized the shadows were just a reflection of her own choices. Choices that could seal their fate forever. Get ready, she thought as she plunged forth. It's now or never. What awaited her on the other side? A salvation or a final descent into darkness? The moment Ashley breached the hollow, the world morphed around her, twisting into a spectrum of nightmarish hues. The ground beneath her feet felt soft and yielding, sinking as if it were fog. A heavy miasma clung to her skin, and she gasped. The air was thick with desperation, an ancient grief woven into the very fabric of the place. Timmy. Her voice echoed, but it sounded hollow, rebounding off unseen walls. She was lost in a realm between existence and nothingness, where shadows loomed large, whispering her failures with chilling precision. They swirled around her, memories flooding her senses like a monstrous tide. Brief flashes assaulted her mind. Timmy's first steps, those bright eyes filled with wonder, his laughter echoing through the house like music. Then, the images rippled and contorted, morphing into darker iterations, turning joy into sorrow. Moments shared became moments lost, each warped image more grotesque than the last. Mommy! Timmy's voice pierced through the deluge, now more panicked, laden with anguish. She could feel him near, could sense his small form fighting back against the shadows that sought to engulf him. Where are you? She cried, the desperation clawing at her throat. She stumbled forward, but the ground squelched like syrup, pulling at her legs. Hold on, baby. I'm coming. Around her, the shapes in the darkness stirred, features flickering, families laughing, friends celebrating. But each was constricted by chains of despair. Their eyes turned toward her, reflecting resounding voids, waiting, accusing. Forever abandoned, they chanted, voices merging in a cacophony of sorrow. Ashley shut her eyes, forcing back tears. Not true. I'm here now. But deep down, she felt the truth settling in a heaviness that whispered of her failures, of the moments she had turned her back, of how she let her pain overshadow her love. Her heart raced, pounding a frantic rhythm. Each beat screamed for truth. Each pulse insisted that facing the darkness might yield some lifeline, something to save Timmy. But what was truth here? Was it the past she had buried, or the future that would never come? The ground quaked, and in the flickering shadows, a figure rose, larger than the rest. His presence radiated despair. It crept closer, clawing hands outstretched, the jigsaw of faces within its mass shifting, revealing the essence of her past, each familiar but marred by tragedy. You've been called to reckon, it hissed, its voice like ice cutting through flesh. What have you sacrificed, Ashley? What did you give up for your comfort? Stop, she cried, her throat tight. I made mistakes, But I've changed. I can fix this. The grim apparition let out a low, rumbling laugh, echoing with centuries of bitterness. You think love is enough? You think a sudden change can rewrite what you've allowed? A gust of wind swirled around them, and suddenly, she was back in her living room. The Friday night lights glared bright as Timmy's laughter bounced off the walls, but it was as if she were separated by a thick glass barrier. Each laugh felt like glass breaking fragile and far away. "Mommy!" Timmy reached out from across this unbreakable divide, his face flushed with fear, eyes wide with pleading, "Mommy, don't let them take me." Ashley felt herself shatter inside. "I want tea," she screamed, clawing at the glass, but her fingers met resistance, invisible and cold. "I will save you." The shadows slithered closer, and she understood with dreadful clarity. "I have to let go of the past," she whispered, the realization settling in like a heavy stone. But could she? Could she walk into the heart of darkness and confront it head-on? Every inch of her body screamed against it, yet the bond with her son surged stronger, propelling her forward, readying her for battle. She faced the growing mass of shadows. She felt the locket burn against her skin. Was it a sign of hope or an anchor pulling her into despair? One final choice lay ahead of her. Would she step beyond the veil, face the demons of her own making, and claim her son? With a surge of courage, she lunged toward the darkness. "I will not lose you," she roared, fully prepared to wrestle with the very essence of her fears. But the shadows whispered back, "What if it's too late?" And as she dove into the depths, a bone-chilling laughter echoed around her. Ashley plunged into the abyss, the shadows twisting like serpents around her. The laughter faded into a hollow silence, replaced by the thumping of her heart, loud and frantic in her ears. Her body felt weightless, adrift in the insatiable dark, as if the very essence of her fears had wrapped around her like a shroud. "Timmy!" she screamed, but there was no response. The voice that had once pierced her consciousness now lingered in her throat, choked by the oppressive darkness. She stumbled forward, her hands outstretched, fingers grazing unseen surfaces, feeling the cold and dampness coil around her like tendrils of despair. Suddenly, the ground solidified beneath her, a stark contrast that sent shivers up her spine. She stood on what seemed like solid stone, though the surface pulsed beneath her feet, alive and throbbing with an ancient dread. Ahead, a small flickering light danced like a firefly, and her instincts screamed it was a beacon. With every step, the air thickened, laden with sorrow and regret. Each inhalation tasted bitter on her tongue. The whispers returned, louder this time, drowning out her desperate thoughts. "You cannot save him," they taunted, voices layering like a sinister choir. "He has been claimed by the shadows." "No," she gasped, pressing her hands against her temples. She couldn't afford to believe them. The memories of Timmy were scattered around her, sharp as shards of glass. His first word, the way his tiny fingers had interlaced with hers, the late nights spent reading bedtime stories. Each memory was tethered to the dark, joy intertwined with grief, a poignant reminder of her failures. The light beckoned her to it, undulating and warm. She ran toward it, hoping it might bridge the gap between her and Timmy. As she approached, the light pulsated harder, revealing glimpses of a room, familiar and swirling with echoes of laughter, her home. Then, the familiar figures materialized within the glow, spectral forms of her family members, faces twisted by anguish but recognizable. "Ashley," they said with haunting resonance. "You turned away. You abandoned us." Her stomach twisted with guilt. She had always prided herself on her choices, but they felt so hollow now. She opened her mouth to defend herself, but no words came. The weight of their accusations kept her mute. With horror, she realized they had become part of the darkness. "No," she screamed, backing away. "I didn't mean it. I was lost. You know that." The shadows pressed closer, coiling around her legs, dragging her inch by inch toward that vile certainty that she was complicit in her own suffering. "Timmy needs you." A new voice sliced through the thick fog, a childish voice. "Mommy, please." Her heartbeat quickened. I'm here. Sweetheart, Ashley called, her voice shrill, urgency pushing her forward. The shadows clawed at her, but she had to fight. Memories fueled her, each leaping into her mind. A chorus of love and regret intermingled. Drawing on her pain, she summoned the memory of Timmy's warm hugs, the way he melted into her embrace. That feeling was strength. In that moment, she lunged toward the light. It felt like hope. And then she was there in that familiar living room, and Timmy stood just beyond her, silhouetted against the bright kitchen lights. Fear and desperation pooled in his wide eyes. She felt the glass barrier again, still cold and unyielding. "Mommy, don't leave me," he cried, tears streaming down his cheeks. Each drop felt like a dagger to her heart. "I'm trying, baby," Ashley shouted, placing her hands against the invisible wall, her pulse thrumming loudly, a wild drum echoing her frantic struggle. She could sense the shadows crawling closer, drawn to Timmy's fear. "I will get you out." With a determination that wrapped around her like steel, Ashley screamed into the void, "You'll pay for what you've done." The darkness recoiled slightly at her words, and she could feel the intensity shift. A glint of something in her locket commanded her attention. Was it possible? Could she channel all of her love into that small object? The light within. It flickered once before erupting into a burst of brilliance. "Hold on, Timmy," she yelled, reaching for him with all her might. But as she grasped the locket, the shadows converged violently around her. Too late. They hissed, ready to drag her into their suffocating embrace. Then darkness exploded into chaos, swirling around them like a violent storm. An overwhelming sensation gripped her, a profound hopelessness accompanied by an unexpected longing. Could love truly conquer despair? Could she truly seize her son back from the brink? As the shadows tightened their grip, Ashley contemplated the price she might have to pay. What was the depths of her sacrifice, and would it be enough? The chaos swirled around Ashley, shadows twisting and writhing like serpents, hungry for the light she barely managed to cling to. Timmy's frightened face burned in her mind, a beacon of fierce love piercing the gathering darkness. Survival wasn't enough. She had to reclaim him completely. No more running, no more hiding from truths wrapped in sorrow. Summoning her strength, Ashley felt the weight of the locket in her pocket. The memories it held were the bittersweet anchors of her past, joy twisted into pain. Yet together they forged the path to liberation. "I won't let you take him." Her voice roared through the shadows, defiance radiating from her core. Timmy's cries echoed in her ears, drawing her back into the moment. "Mommy!" Each wail struck her heart like a hammer, each syllable urging her forward, demanding she confront the source of their torment. "I'm right here," she screamed, feeling the energy in her locket pulse with a vibrant heat. Before the suffocating shadows could come, she thrust the locket skyward, letting it catch the phantom light swirling around her. The darkness hissed, a cacophony of rage and fear, but Ashley's resolve surged. Trigger the memories, she thought, heart pounding. The images within the locket cascaded through the air, memories returning to her like a chorus, forming a protective coat of warmth against the biting chill of despair. Each recollection flowed into the space, the sound of laughter, the embrace of love, the sweetness of ordinary moments. The shadows writhed, twisting away from the powerful glow. "You cannot hold on to them," a voice roared, a twisted amalgamation of all her fears, attempting to drown her hope. "They will be tainted by the truths you refuse to face." "Maybe," Ashley breathed, her voice steady now, "but truth is not just darkness." She felt an ancient rhythm beating in time with her heart, a pulse reminiscent of where she came from and where she aimed to go. She focused on the glowing locket, on each cherished moment, the joy of Timmy's laughter, the tender hugs, the warmth of family. And love cannot be undone. With those words, the light expanded, flooding the cavern like sunrise breaking through the longest night. The shadows screamed, recoiling, losing grip on her as brightness erupted. "Timmy!" she cried, feeling herself strengthen as she channeled everything she had into the brilliant warmth. The memories spun into a protective whirlwind, casting the darkness back until it receded into the depths. Through it all, Timmy emerged from the veil, stepping closer as the shadows danced away, diminished by the unwavering brightness. His small figure was fragile, eyes wide but filled with hopeful determination. "Mommy?" he whispered, skepticism drenched in relief. "I'm here. Baby, I won't leave you." She charged forward, illuminating the path with memories strong enough to dispel any haunting despair. As she reached Timmy, she snatched him into her arms. Everything melted away: fear, shadows, the weight of her past as they held each other tightly. "We did it," she whispered, tears cascading down her cheeks. "We faced the darkness together." The locket pulsed once more, and with a final flash, the chaotic noise faded into serene silence. They stood in an iridescent glow that wrapped around them, a cocoon of protection. Slowly, the lingering whispers transformed into a gentle breeze, brushing against their skin with comforting softness. In that moment, sadness turned into an overwhelming wave of relief, washing over them. "What now?" Timmy asked, looking around at their new surroundings, awash in bright light. "The world isn't going to be easy, but we can face whatever comes together," Ashley replied, a smile breaking through the previous anguish, a feeling of unbreakable bond warming her heart. Hand in hand, they stepped forward, into the light, leaving the shadows behind forever. Cedar Grove, once a prison of fear, now sparkled with possibility, a place of healing. It was not the end of their journey, but a new beginning. They would carry their scars, but also their love, a love too resilient to be extinguished unseen. As they ventured on, Ashley realized there would be challenges ahead, but hope no longer felt like a flickering flame. It burned bright and alive in her chest. Together, she repeated a quiet promise as they walked into their future. A world where love conquered all shadows, where light would guide them through every hardship, hand in hand, always finding their way. Now, here's the deal: you need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are just waiting to unfold. Smash that like button now to give a boost to the algorithm, so our stories can reach more hearts. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this shocking ending. Let's hear what you think. And wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of supporting this channel, so let us spread the word together.